There, thanks for clicking on us. This is Dice Tales again with more ideas about keeping your solo roleplay fresh. There's a million videos out there telling you how to get started, how to get your oracles, tools, all that stuff. But not a whole lot telling you about how to sustain things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as I did in a prior video. This time I'm going to talk about plot and why you need plot and how to get some plot into your game. One of the best mechanisms I found is one that I just lifted right out of Dungeon World, which is the idea of fronts. These are things that are happening in your game world. They're plots, events. It can be anything. It can be political intrigue. It can be religious strife. It can be bad weather. It can be the end of the world, although that's kind of passé. It can be something local or regional. And you want more than one of these, and what they're supposed to be is they're long-term things that take time to develop, to give you time to interact. You know, to pick a trivial example that's very common is a new cult arises, and they're doing something evil, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're doing something good. And you figure out, using the Dungeon World mechanism, the various steps that are going to occur as their work continues in the world, because obviously your player character is not, in most cases, going to immediately engage or be concerned. They might hear about the stuff going on. They might run into things peripherally that engage it, which is a great way of getting them to interact and have a goal with these groups or these events. And they develop slowly over time. And it's a good idea that the magic number of these seems to be about 3. More than that gets unwieldy to maintain or too complicated for a solo type event, type of game rather. And what you can do with these is you have those events slowly unfold in the background as your player character is going about their business. And at some point, either through a random event or it gets their attention to the point where it's deliberate, or as a plot hook, you can have an NPC engage them on the topic, you know, someone who opposes the cult, or if your character happens to be a priest, clerical type player, or type character, obviously that would be of interest to them, and they might engage on this. And what that does is that gives you some structure, and it gives you some urgency, because left unchecked, these things will continue to fruition and cause presumably negative effects. And some of them will come to fruition, and that's part of the fun too, because then of course you can be challenged to try and undo it if it's something that engages your character. And a lot of this the things that you might want to pick should be things that will have aspects that will engage your character's drives and motivations. To use the example of the cult again, if you're just an ordinary old sellsword who, you know, is just looking for this next gold piece, working for somebody, maybe even as something as trivial as a caravan guard at low levels, or a bodyguard, or a mercenary, who knows. You want to have an aspect to this that will engage them. Obviously, the swordsman is not going to give a damn about a religious cult, or not going to care much anyway, or think that it's going to affect them. But you can shape these things perhaps so that it does, or that can just go on to its fruition as your player character does other things. And this helps keep your game fresh in a number of ways. It gives you a mission. Even though you know, since you're both game master and player, there's an inevitable element of metagaming. You know, on some level, this has some urgency to it. And that provides an interesting challenge to not let that affect your role play of your character, and to make sure that you're providing fidelity to that character's drive and motivation. But at the same time, it also gives your character something to do. You don't have to be sitting there going, okay, you know, the wizard hired me to go get the MacGuffin. I got it. I brought it back to him. What happens now? Well, maybe what happens now is that you run into some of these proselytizing clerical people from the aforementioned generic cult, and I don't know, maybe they rough you up or threaten to. And you might take that personally. And all of a sudden they're on your radar. And the more now that they're on your radar, you're noticing more about them and you're listening to the rumors going around in the local tavern, thieves guild, what have you. And that might engage you. There's lots of ways you can do it and lots of different things that you can do. And by having these fronts or these things going on in your living world, it feels more alive, it feels more real, it engages your character's interest, it gives you purpose. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there as a thought for how to keep your game fresh as a quickie. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on that, if you wouldn't mind, because I'm always looking for good ideas and ways to nuance the things that I do in my solo game. And today I'm smoking, it's an Obsidian cigar. I forget who the maker is. It's pretty ordinary right fresh off the boat, but when you let it sit a couple months in your humidor, the thing actually has some character and nuance, so I highly recommend these Oblivions. Anyway, thanks for listening, and do the like and subscribe thing, please. Want to get the word out to more people and hear back from more people in the comments. Thanks for listening.